Hey, now we're heading to the Whitetail Diaries deer camp as Steve Nessl is about to go on one of his favorite kinds of hunts, a handgun hunt.
We're down at the Whitetail Diaries camp, and it's a continuation of a handgun hunt for me. Last year I got an opportunity to take a doe with one, and I literally fell in love with the Performance Center Stealth Hunter. It's a sweet looking gun, and for me it's one of the sweetest shooting guns, at least handguns I've ever shot. With the red dot sight, I love shooting that gun, whether it's at the range or when I took my first deer with it. It just, again, a little bit of a love affair.
Visit smith-wesson/PC to learn more about the Performance Center Stealth Hunter.
The place we're hunting tonight is called the house stand, or it's a house stand area. You know, Wade could fill you in the details, but there are a ton of good bucks out there, including one that disappeared for a while and just showed back up recently.
First picked up this property that we were leasing, and I got some pictures of this deer on scouting camera, and man, he was fairly regular around a protein feeder we had set up. And then all of a sudden he was just gone. And then all of a sudden he was just back several years later. And I'm convinced this is the same deer. I mean, there was just too many of the mannerisms, too many of the looks on the pictures that I saw that made me think that this is the same deer. And the age class makes sense of how old this deer is. And so when I first saw him show back up on the scouting cameras, I was like, it's time to go hunt this deer, see if we can't get lucky.
We're in a pop-up, we brushed it in, it's been there for a couple of days. It's gonna be a cool looking, you'll see it here, it's a cool looking spread for us, for the hunter, and for Wade as my camera guy tonight. I'm hoping we just don't look at the landscape all evening. I hope we get some big bucks trolling through, but I'll have shots anywhere from 15 to 40, 45, and I feel pretty confident. Hopefully get something in the sweet spot between 20 and 30, but cool spot, warm day, a big deer in the area, so we'll see what happens.
We joined Steve Nessl and Wade in a pop-up blind under some not-so-good conditions, but they're hopeful that the deer they're after will make an appearance.
So we'd been out there for probably 45 minutes to an hour before the first deer came in, and then it was pretty steady from there. We had our first little schizo playful spike, and then a young 8, another young 8, a couple cool deer, and then actually he's probably just a 3.5-year-old, but an 8 that was really nice, and I like cool looking 8s. He's gonna get good, I think. Maybe not too wide, but super tall at some point. He was the biggest deer in the field for a while, and I knew he wasn't to be shot. I knew he wasn't on the list, and you can't help but think, what if? You start justifying how old he might be and the things that go through your head, but I never even reached for the gun, and we were there for a reason, and it was to really to chase this one deer. Now there were other bucks, other mature deer that Wade had seen, and I think had the back of his mind that maybe if they came in instead, we may still try and get something to go down, but there was one deer at the top of the list for sure, the guy who just showed back up, and you know, at the same time, all these deer in front of us, ironically enough, all of them bucks, ended up being about, I'd say 12 to 15 of them. He hadn't shown up yet, and yet we weren't surprised. The whole plan was to try and get deer to be in a place where the deer could be in front of us and comfortable.
You know, if you've hunted a lot of pop-up situations in a filming scenario or with a buddy in there, some people have different angles in the blinds. And so I'm actually the camera guy, which is kind of scary to begin with, because about half the time I'm out of focus, I'll push buttons, I don't even know what happens on the camera. That's not my deal, that's not my gig. It's just that I love to go hunt with people, so I'll grab the camera in a lot of those situations. So I'm sitting off in the left-hand corner, Steve's in the right-hand corner, and you know, we've got a few young bucks that are milling around. This is a real pretty little kind of a mesquite flat with a little bit of grass in it. It's just a perfect little area for a lot of deer based on this time of the year. And all of a sudden he's pointing and down there, and I can't see anything, and he can see old big boy coming down the little draw.
Well, the old deer has been spotted. The only thing now is, will he come any closer for Steve to get a shot? Find out when we return. The deer that Steve and Wade have been looking for has appeared. Wade's view is obstructed by a bush, so they're hoping this buck will come a little closer.
You remember those old-timey movies, or like when you're in the play in the 5th grade or whatever, and the teacher would put the X out there and you'd go stand on there and that's where you'd recite your little play? I mean, that's what this deer did. It's like we painted an X out there. He walks in, all the other deer kind of get out of the way, and he stops on the X and just turns broadside. I mean, this is a deer I haven't seen in 3 years, and he's gonna read the script that good and go to the X?
I mean, I could tell he was our deer. You could see his rack. But what struck me was two things: how old he looked, just through the binoculars with his face and just the colors of his face, and how flipping big he was. Just a monster compared to everything else in that field. Got him.
Watch him.
I know you say this thing is yours, but this thing is mine.
Oh my God, what a great shot, Steve.
Oh, what a great plan. What a great gun. Practice with it. I love this thing. I like him a lot. I'd like to say that I built up to him because I took a doe, but there's no building up to that with any weapon, much less a handgun like this 44 Smith & Wesson at about 22, 23 yards. That is ridiculous. We had bucks everywhere. He's right. He's right there. He's right there. He's nuts. I can't even look at him through my binoculars because I'm still shaking. Oh.
Cool old deer, great gun that I have a love affair with, the stealth hunter, and a trophy that I'll take home and celebrate in a variety of ways. I've been doing it since he went down, and I'll continue to do it when I get home with my family and friends.
I mean, I can't even begin to describe these things. There's so much character about this guy's horns. The blading up here, split, this 3 that comes out like this, they touch in the middle, about that far apart. These 2 little, he's so thick and he's old. Thank you, buddy. He's old. First I saw him, I didn't think he was coming in. When I saw him, I put the binoculars up like an idiot and forgot there were any other deer in the field. And I think I spooked them all out. Luckily it calmed down. He watched everything for a while, and then he came in and he established his place, and luckily for me that was inside of 25 yards. And I've gotten pretty good with the Smith & Wesson 44. Thankful he gave me a shot. Thankful that programs like Wade's put in place are netting deer like this. Just a stud of a deer who I think left for a while, and he's back, and he's here. And again, I don't really know how to describe it. I'm blessed for sure. I'm definitely blessed.
It's a neat deal, it really is. It's a cool deal to take an animal like that, period. To take it in the way we did, from planning ahead to suffering some tough hunting conditions, to me getting out with a firearm that I really, really liked and wanted an opportunity with because I was comfortable and felt like I could succeed with it. And it's a happy ending for sure, it really is. Things could go wrong, but we took every step of the way. We took measures to ensure that they, as much as we could, that they wouldn't. And right now there's a cool looking deer in the cooler. I get to tell his story, and it's gonna live on. I mean, we're gonna talk about this guy for a long time.
Congratulations, Steve, on your handgun entry into the Yamaha Whitetail Diaries. Well, that'll do it for us here, and we'll see you next time.